Have you ever heard of a family losing 5 children in a house fire, but with almost no evidence that they ever died? That's the heartbreaking mystery of the Sodder Children, and it's been haunting America since Christmas Eve, 1945. The Sodder family lived in Fayetteville, West Virginia, with George and Jenny Sodder and their 9 kids. That night, a fire broke out and the family home burned to the ground. George and Jenny, along with 4 of their children, made it out, but 5 of the kids, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, seemingly vanished into thin air. The weird part? No remains were ever found in the ashes. Experts later said bones should have survived even the hottest house fire. Stranger still, witnesses reported seeing the missing children alive after the blaze at gas stations, in passing cars, even in a motel a few towns away. George and Jenny spent the rest of their lives searching. They put up a massive billboard along Route 16, begging for leads. Theories exploded. Kidnapping, ransom plots, mafia retaliation, but no clear answers ever surfaced. To this day, the Sodder children's fate remains one of America's most chilling unsolved mysteries, a story where hope, heartbreak, and suspicion burned just as fiercely as the flames. How does a wealthy, well-known young woman vanish in the middle of a bustling city in broad daylight without a single trace? That's precisely what happened to Dorothy Arnold in 1910, and over a century later, it's still unsolved. Dorothy was a 25-year-old New York socialite, the daughter of a millionaire. On December 12th, 1910, she told her family she was going shopping for a new dress. Witnesses saw her buying chocolates and a book on Fifth Avenue around noon. She seemed perfectly normal, laughing and chatting, and then nothing. She never came home. She never contacted her family. It was like she just evaporated into the city air. Her family, terrified of scandal, waited weeks before alerting the police, a decision that many believe cost them precious time. Private investigators scoured hospitals, jails, even morgues, but turned up empty. Rumors exploded. Had she been kidnapped? Murdered? Had she staged her own disappearance to escape family pressure? Some even whispered that she had died after a secret pregnancy and was quietly buried. Despite massive rewards, international searches, and endless tabloid coverage, no confirmed sighting ever surfaced. Dorothy Arnold's disappearance remains one of New York's oldest and most baffling mysteries, a chilling reminder that even in a crowd, you can simply vanish. Some names become legends not just for what they did, but how they vanished. Jimmy Hoffa is one of those names. By the 1970s, Hoffa was a towering figure in American labor history. The fiery, controversial president of the Teamsters Union and a man deeply entangled with organized crime. After serving time in prison for jury tampering and fraud, Hoffa was desperate to claw his way back into power. But on July 30th, 1975, he headed to a meeting at the Machus Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, Michigan, and was never seen again. His car was found abandoned in the parking lot. No security footage, no reliable witnesses. Just an unsettling silence that swallowed one of the most powerful men in America. Theories about what happened exploded overnight. Was he lured into a mob meeting and killed? Was he stuffed into a trunk, buried under Giant Stadium, dissolved in a steel drum? Every few years, new tips sent FBI teams digging through fields, driveways, and junkyards, but nothing ever stuck. Despite decades of investigations, the mystery of Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance remains unsolved. His case became a cultural phenomenon, inspiring books, movies, and endless rumors, yet the truth stays buried. Today, Jimmy Hoffa isn't just remembered as a union boss or a mob associate. He's the man who walked into history and never walked back out. Imagine arriving at a lonely lighthouse on a remote Scottish island, only to find it eerily abandoned, dinner half eaten, a chair overturned, and not a single soul in sight. In December 1900, when a relief vessel reached the Flannan Lighthouse, the 3 keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur, had vanished. The clocks were stopped, the lamps were unlit, their thick, heavy oilskins, essential for braving the brutal North Atlantic weather, were missing. But there were no bodies, no distress signals, just the howling wind and an overwhelming sense of dread. An official investigation concluded that a violent storm likely swept them into the sea while they tried to secure equipment. But there were problems with that theory. Weather logs suggested that the storm hit after they disappeared, not before. And why would such seasoned keepers all leave the safety of the lighthouse at once? Over the years, theories have spiraled. Was it a rogue wave? Mutiny? Madness? Supernatural forces? Some even whispered about sea monsters or ghostly abductions. The truth remains a mystery, swallowed by the brutal seas and endless fog. Over a century later, the Flannan Isle still stands empty, battered by wind and salt, and the legend of the missing keepers lingers like a ghost on the waves. How can 3 women, 2 young graduates, and a mother vanish from a home without leaving a single clue behind? That's the chilling puzzle of the Springfield Three, and it's been haunting Missouri since 1992. On the night of June 6th, friends Susie Streeter and Stacy McCall had just graduated from high school. After a night of parties, they decided to crash at Susie's house. Susie's mother, Cheryl Levitt, was already home. By morning, all 3 were gone. The weird part? There were no signs of a struggle. Their purses, keys, cars, even their dog were all untouched. The porch light was shattered, but that was it. Friends who visited the house the next morning thought something felt off, but didn't call the police right away. Hours turned into days, and then years. Rumors exploded. Were they kidnapped by someone they knew? Was it a random break-in gone wrong? Some even suspected a local cemetery held the remains, buried under concrete, but no evidence ever surfaced. Despite endless searches, psychic consultations, and national media coverage, no trace of Susie, Stacy, or Cheryl has ever been found. The case remains frozen in time, a heart-wrenching reminder that sometimes people can simply vanish, leaving only questions behind. Some mysteries are so haunting that even decades later, the town can still feel the weight of them. That's the case with the lost boys of Hannibal. On May 10th, 1967, 3 boys, Billy Hogue, 11, Joel Hogue, 13, and Craig Dowell, 14, set out to explore their Missouri neighborhood. Construction crews had been blasting caves in the area, and for adventurous kids, it was irresistible. They told their parents they were heading out to play, and they never came back. Massive search efforts kicked off almost immediately. Volunteers, police, and even professional cavers scoured the labyrinth of tunnels beneath Hannibal. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers got involved. Rescuers dug, drilled, and called for the boys until their voices were hoarse. But there was no sign of them. Not even a single piece of clothing, not a footprint, nothing. Some believed the boys had been trapped by a sudden cave-in. Others wondered if they'd wandered deeper into the twisting, unmapped tunnels, lost forever. Over time, theories got darker. Was foul play involved? Despite the largest cave search in American history, no trace of Billy, Joel, or Craig was ever found. The town of Hannibal never truly healed. The Lost Boys remain a heartbreaking reminder that sometimes the earth itself can swallow secrets whole. Have you ever watched something so bizarre, so unsettling, that has stayed with you for days? You have probably seen the last known footage of Elisa Lam. In 2013, Elisa, a 21-year-old college student from Canada, checked into the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, a building infamous for its dark history. She was traveling alone, documenting her journey online, but then, without warning, she vanished. 2 weeks later, guests at the hotel began complaining about low water pressure and a strange taste. When a maintenance worker checked the rooftop water tanks, he made a horrifying discovery. Elisa's body was floating inside one of them. The creepiest part? Before she disappeared, hotel security footage captured Elisa behaving strangely in the elevator, pressing multiple buttons, peeking out nervously, hiding, making strange hand gestures to someone or something unseen. Her death was ruled an accidental drowning, but that explanation didn't sit right with the public. How did she even get to the rooftop when access was locked? Why were her clothes removed in the tank? Was it mental illness, foul play, or something even darker? The Elisa Lam case remains a chilling cocktail of mystery, tragedy, and urban legend. A haunting reminder that sometimes the scariest questions are the ones we cannot answer. Some disappearances almost feel poetic, and few are as eerie as the vanishing of Ambrose Bierce. By 1913, Bierce was already a legendary figure, a celebrated American author, journalist, and Civil War veteran known for his razor-sharp wit and a famously cynical book, The Devil's Dictionary. At 71 years old, tired of life in the United States, he set off for Mexico, a country in the midst of violent revolution, chasing a final adventure. In letters to friends, Bierce hinted he was riding with Pancho Villa's rebel army. His last known letter, dated December 26, 1913, from Chihuahua, simply said, "As to me, I leave here tomorrow for an unknown destination." And then, silence. No confirmed sightings, no concrete clues. Bierce simply evaporated from history. Speculation ran wild. Some believed he was executed by federal troops. Others thought he had committed suicide in a remote desert. Some even imagined he lived out his final days under a new identity, savoring the anonymity he had always craved. Over the decades, countless deathbed confessions, fake journal entries, and conspiracy theories surfaced, but none could solve the mystery. Ambrose Bierce's disappearance remains one of literature's greatest unsolved endings, fitting for a man who spent his life writing about the thin line between reality and the unknown. Which disappearance impacted you the most? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.